Whiskers' Enchanted Adventure. In a quiet village nestled between rolling hills, a clever tabby named Whiskers lived in the attic of the baker's shop. Whiskers was no ordinary cat. He had a knack for noticing the extraordinary hidden in the ordinary. One rainy afternoon, while exploring the attic, Whiskers discovered an old, dusty chest. Inside lay a shimmering collar adorned with tiny, glowing runes. As soon as Whiskers slipped the collar around his neck, the room seemed to spin. A gentle voice whispered in his ear, "Your adventure begins, brave soul." Before he could twitch a whisker, Whiskers found himself in a lush, glowing forest, where the trees whispered secrets and fireflies lit the path like lanterns. Whiskers' keen eyes caught sight of a little squirrel frantically hopping in circles. "Help me, please," the squirrel squeaked. "The moonstone tree is dying, and without its light the forest will fall into shadow. The only way to save it is to retrieve the crystal dewdrop from the crystal cavern, but it's guarded by the shadow owl." "Lead the way," Whiskers purred, his collar glowing faintly as if encouraging him. The journey to the crystal cavern was treacherous. Whiskers and the squirrel navigated bubbling bogs, crossed rickety bridges, and avoided the sharp claws of mischievous goblin foxes. At last, they reached the cavern, its entrance shimmering with prismatic light. Inside, the shadow owl loomed, its dark wings blocking the path to the crystal dewdrop. Whiskers crouched low, his tail twitching with determination. He darted and weaved, using his agility to distract the owl while the squirrel scurried forward and snatched the dewdrop. As soon as the dewdrop was in their grasp, the owl let out a mournful cry, its shadowy form dissolving into a swirl of mist. The cavern grew brighter, the air lighter. Whiskers and the squirrel raced back to the moonstone tree, where they placed the dewdrop at its roots. The tree sprang to life, its branches glowing with silvery light that spread across the forest. The collar's magic began to pulse, and before Whiskers could say goodbye, he was back in the attic, the collar now an ordinary piece of leather. He sighed contentedly, curling up on an old pillow. The magical adventure had ended, but Whiskers knew the forest would thrive, and so would the stories he'd carry forever. And from that day on, every time the moonlight caught his fur just right, it seemed to shimmer faintly, as though the magic of the enchanted collar still lingered.